Dr. Sanobar for this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Humaira, and I'm very excited to be a part of this session, which is lived experiences of Muslim women and grassroots activism, because activism is not just mere protest. It is the very spirit of democracy. It is participatory, and it redefines democracy, so to say, because it offers a space where women, any minority or any silenced voice can be heard. It makes them visible, and it gives them political agency. I guess with this small note or comment, we can begin the session. And the first session, I guess there are 5 papers here in the session. So 15 minutes time, I think, should be enough for each speaker. So shall we start?
Sorry, ma'am, there are 6 presenters.
6, okay.
Yes.
Even then 15 minutes should be fine. So the first speaker is Ashik Ali, right, Humaira? Shall we begin with
yes,
with Ali? Okay.
I think it is 10 minutes for each presenter. Is
Okay,
that
10 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes.
Ma'am, it's 10 minutes and 5 minutes question answer for question.
Okay. We can take up the questions later after all the presentations are done. Is that fine? Or after every presentation?
No, ma'am, it's after all questions.
Okay.
So that people can ask if they want to ask questions any presenter. They are not there. Humaira, ask first presenter.
Yeah. So shall I invite Ashik Ali? He's assistant professor, College of Arts, Resilience and Spirituality Among War-Affected Women in Palestine, a narrative analysis. I think there are 2 scholars here in this. Ashik Ali, assistant professor, Al Shifa College. Sorry, from Al Shifa College of Arts and Science. Yeah, Ashik Ali. Is Ashik Ali here in the meeting?
I think he was here. Yeah.
we can invite the next presenter of this session, ma'am.
Okay.
He's already here.
He's already here.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. He's not responding.
Okay, in that case, we'll move to the second speaker, Dr. Suraya Tabassum, Assistant Professor, Jamia Millia Islamia. She will be presenting her paper on Muslim women in India, identity, agency, and sisterhood. So may I request Dr. Suraya Tabassum to present her paper?
Thank you so much, Professor Sanobar. And congratulations to the organizers of this international conference on Muslim women, epistemology, praxis, and lived experiences. I hope I'm audible, Humaira?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you so much. So very good morning to the Honorary Director, SNCWS, my students, convener, Dr. Amina, and everybody who is on the panel. The topic I've chosen for my presentation for this conference is about identity and agency and sisterhood. This is based on my work experience, my academic scholarship with the subject way back to the year 2000. I'll just take you through this journey because I would be able to let you know how I was able to associate with the subject very deeply. So in 2000, when I was working with Indian Social Institute, I wrote an article, a research paper in Women's Link, which got published and my research director asked me, "What you have written is really true?" And the topic was Muslim personal law theory and practice, the Muslim women in India. And I said, yes, absolutely right. The theory is what I have tried to put down, and ground realities are not matching with. And she had a discussion with me on this topic, and we deliberated. Later, I got an invite from the research director of the research unit, and he said, Fernando Franco, he said that, why don't you work on Muslim women? And my scholarship was not on Muslim women. I wrote a paper just out of a quest, and I was not very confident since this was a topic related to personal law. And when I was in my schools, I saw the Shahbano case and the uproar in India that didn't allow me to take up that topic as a researcher to work on. He followed me for another 2 months. I was called again and again, and I was really perplexed what to do. I went to my father and I did discuss this topic with him, that my research director wants me to work on Muslim personal law and Muslim women in India. What should I do? And he was quite wise enough to say that, because I was a student of international relations. And he said, I hope you have done your doctorate on this subject. Go back to your books, read it, and then start working on this topic. That was a point. I started looking to the Holy Quran, the Hadith, and the related subject, wrote a proposal. This was granted by Indian Social Institute, and I went to 3 districts, Delhi, Aligarh, and Ajmer, and I collected a data sample of 1,000. My team of surveyor was with me, and I was interviewing the academicians, activists, theologians, and this field workers were going home to home talking to primarily women, and 80% women and 20% men. The issue was about their awareness about their rights enshrined in the Holy Quran, including maintenance, meher, education, as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, so many issues, property as well. This book got published, and this is titled as a Waiting for the New Dawn in the year 2003. And the findings were saying a lot that women don't know about their rights. This was a major landmark finding from this research. And this book was read by everybody who was interested in this book. What I can say. Later, an organization which was called International Foundation for Electoral System came to India in the year 2004. They invited me to talk on this issue, and we again had a deliberation. And this was like what they said, what do you want next? And I said, I want to do a lot of workshops, but I don't have money. He said, if money is not issue, then I was in the organization as a senior technical advisor, designing their Muslim Women's Initiative. And this was, I don't know whether I can display it here and all people can see it. This is the book which captured the learnings from the field. It captured how the program was designed and how the women's life got affected. So this is my presentation is all about agency, identity, and sisterhood. This work was like, why I'm trying to tell this work here, because this is not only a theoretical perspective, and we have been
Sorry, ma'am, you are mute now. Excuse me, ma'am.
again अचानक से हो जाता है.
Yes, sir.
Anurag, can I share the screen, please? Is it possible?
Yes, ma'am, you can share. You have
But
option.
here, but nothing is visible on this screen. It's only Zoom coming in.
Yes.
But बेटा इसको कैसे शेयर
मैम
करें?
नाउ जैसे आप ओपन करते हैं वो पीपीटी डायरेक्ट आप ओपन कीजिए आ जाएगा हमारी स्क्रीन पे.
अच्छा, मैं 1 मिनट फिर से उस पे जाना पड़ेगा मुझे अपने। यू आर सीन शेयरिंग लिखा हुआ है इसमें,
मैम
लेकिन हाँ।
आप जो भी चला रहे हैं हम लोग देख रहे हैं, आपने मेल खोला हुआ है अभी।
Yes,
अच्छा,
ma'am. Ma'am,
आप
your
देख पा
screen
रहे
is
थे?
being shared, so you can share your PPT.
It's online document which I want to share.
मैम आपकी स्क्रीन पर आएगा तो हमारी स्क्रीन पर आ जाएगा।
मेरे स्क्रीन पे तो खुला था, लेकिन ये स्टॉप शेयरिंग करती हूँ मैं, रुको। हाँ, अब आएगा शायद। अब मैं ऑनलाइन जाके दिस डॉक्यूमेंट आई वांट टू शो, इज इट विजिबल नाउ?
नो मैम, नाउ यू
नो,
शुड स्टार्ट शेयरिंग।
स्टार्ट शेयरिंग, ओके। या या इज विजिबल नाउ?
नो मैम, आई थिंक इट्स
Shared.
ऑनलाइन, दैट्स
Please
व्हाई
wait
इट्स
some time.
इट।
No, it's being shared. We
या
can
या
see it.
नाउ इट्स
अच्छा, इज शेयर्ड, ओके। So, this was the book I was referring to everyone here. Yeah, this is the book which has got published in the year 2000. The work we did on the ground was from 2004 to 2011. This was a program which was designed into phases. The first phase belonged to 6 months uh, um, understanding of the issue and what we should do and what we should not do. We had a national conference in Jamia Hamdard where we invited more than 200 people, definitely who were associated with this scholarship, to come and discuss what should we be doing on the ground. And after that, we had very small groups where we designed these pamphlets, which you can see on the screen. This is one from the Holy Quran, and this is one from the Indian Constitution. So we took two sources of entitlements. One was the Holy Quran, and another was Indian Constitution. And the primary aim was to make women aware about their entitlements from both the sources. And after that, we were able to go in the field and partner with a lot of organizations who were already working with women, Muslim women's issues. And this was interesting change. From workshops, we walked into making them as a collectives. These women used to come to the workshops and tell us the stories of sometimes not being given their entitlements by the family members, by the institutions, by the service providers, and they wanted to move beyond the awareness level. And one more hiccup was that you are telling us a lot of our entitlements. What about our men and the boys? So we had to have workshops with the men and the boys, of the family members of the women who were attending our workshops. So that was very interesting. You can say it was another layer of collaborators we got with us. And then the idea of bringing a very active women as a part of our groups. So we got them into collectives, and from there we started the journey of identity, agency, and sisterhood. These women came together, and the number of people we reached both in Karnataka and Rajasthan, these were our two intervention
you have
states.
only
Yeah,
you have only 2 minutes.
no issues. So these two states were intervention was done, and then we got lots of positive stories coming from the ground. A lot of women who were I must not say lot, many of the women who were not aware about their entitlements, they became aware. They were able to exercise their votes. They were able to mobilize a lot of women across maybe domestic violence, the issue of sending children to the schools, taking them to better healthcare facilities, and even the counseling sessions were held for these women. And after a rigorous intervention of 7 years on the ground, we were able to have more than 500 women collectives in both the states. And these collectives were not only working around entitlements, accessing them through different institutions, maybe a bank, but also connecting them with the business houses. They were able to have a lot of handicrafts and so many other things. They were into the professions and the businesses, small businesses as well. So this program provided a lot of leadership to the women on the ground, and they were able to tell people that meher is an entitlement, maintenance is an entitlement, education is an entitlement, and they were able to change their equations, gender equations within the families, the communities, and somehow at the state levels also. And after that, and of course you can see on the ground on the screen that there were lots of case studies which we have captured in this book and which were able to tell us the change before and after. So this programming intervention, what I want to place it before the panelists here, this programming intervention, if thoughtfully done, it can change the status quo, it can change women as a passive resistance of anything, as an active mobilizer, active askers, or active participants in any discourses which you and I take it. And I sum up my presentation with the saying that things are possible if people are made aware about their entitlements, and an ecosystem is being created for them to access their entitlements. So thank you so much. And many more to come when the discussion happens. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Suraya. That was a wonderful paper, and we wish we had time to, listen to you more. But then, because of the paucity of time, but then you made a very a valid argument that these grassroots activism gives us a bottom-up situation where these stories, these singular stories can then slowly give or affect legislation. This kind of activism is very much required, because these these make the silenced group aware of their rights, and like how you did in your project, that's how you made the male members also sensitive about gender equality and about the rights of women. So let's move on to the
Thank you so much.
yeah, and we'll have more questions towards the end, because this seems very interesting. Shall we move on to the next one? Next presenter, this is Hasna VP, a research scholar from University of... No, that's not. Athila Hussain, research scholar, and Dr. Abdul Shakir. Do we have them here? From Amar
Ma'am,
College.
third is Alisha, I think.
No, it doesn't show here, maybe.
Okay, ma'am.
Alicia? Okay, in this program, I don't have Alicia's.
Okay, ma'am.
Can you just read out her the topic of her presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Give me a minute, ma'am. But if give a minute, ma'am.
I can
Or shall we
invite
take up
Alisha Chaudhary.
Huh?
Yeah.
Alisha Chaudhary. She's an assistant professor at University of Delhi. And the topic is contextualizing feminist epistemologies, the politics of knowledge production in Islam. Athila. Alicia Chaudhary, if you are here, please unmute yourself and present your topic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Okay, so first and foremost, a very warm good morning to all of you. And my thanks to the organizing team and the Department of Philosophy, Sarojini Center for Women's Studies. So I am Alicia Chaudhary. I'm doing my PhD on Islamic feminism, particularly from University of Delhi. And I am a faculty at Miranda House, University of Delhi. So, and once again, thank you to, reformulate the panel, to accommodate me today. So the topic, due to the paucity of time, I think I have to start sooner. So the topic I am presenting today is the contextualizing feminist epistemologies, the politics of knowledge production in Islam. Today I'll be dealing with some pertinent questions that how knowledge is produced and who is the knower. Is knowledge gender specific? So I have divided my paper into three parts. In first part, I'll be dealing with theories in feminist epistemologies, wherein I have taken standpoint theory, situated knowledges, and epistemic injustice. In part two, I'll try to accommodate these theories into the Islamic perspective, Islamic women's perspective specifically. And the third part will be dealing with politics of knowledge production in Islam, wherein I'll be discussing tafsir, feminist interpretation of Quran, ijtihad, and certain other associated terms. So briefly talking about feminist standpoint theory, herein I have included two thinkers, Sandra Harding, people from Islamic feminism or who are working on feminism might have heard about them, and Nancy Hartzog. So it is a discourse which emerged in 1970s, and it specifically emerged from Marxist and socialist feminist tradition. So as it started from Marxist and socialist feminist tradition, it holds the view that working class gives them a unique and more complete understanding of capitalist society than the ruling class. So herein we see that feminist theories adopted that women as a socially subordinate group can have epistemic privilege, which means that because they are on the fringes, they are the marginalized section of the society, so they still have a privilege. And herein we also see that knowledge is actually socially situated. This is this theory specifically talks about the social situatedness of the knowledge. The second theory which I have taken up is feminist postmodernist and post-structuralist. So as we have seen that when we are talking about postmodernism, so postmodernism was a process which came after modernism, because I am from philosophy, so I think I should explain it in that particular way, that postmodernism came after it, and it specifically talked about logocentrism, which means that there is no specific center, there is no God, no experience, no reason, nothing is there. So there is no centrality. So when I am talking about feminist postmodernism, I have taken Donna Haraway and Judith Butler. So Judith Butler wrote a book, Gender Trouble, wherein she said that along with gender, sex is something which is socially and culturally constructed. So she actually deconstructed this binary of male, female, public, private, rational, and emotional, which we have been, which we were discussing since first wave of feminism. And Donna Haraway specifically talked about situated knowledges. She claimed that all knowledge is partial and embodied. So we must be accountable for our positions. And the third theory which I've taken up is intersectional or decolonial feminist epistemology. So herein we have taken the very, very famous who have worked on Black feminism, bell hooks. So it argues that knowledge production must account for multiple intersection systems of oppression. So it includes race, class, gender, sexuality, coloniality, and more. Moving on to the second section, wherein I was thinking that I'll be trying to accommodate, and from my own perspective, own subjective perspective, to accommodate into Muslim feminist perspective. So if I see the first one, wherein we have spoken about standpoint theory, I completely agree that this is in close proximity with Muslim women's movements and struggle, because when we are talking about the exegesis of Quran, So it talks about women's right. We have read the verses. We all know that, right? So wherein we see that it has never been followed the way it has been written in the Quran in practicality, because there are manipulations, and where our manipulations are, be it in tafsir, wherein Amina Wudu says that the traditional tafsir has been exclusively written by men, right? And the way it has been, it reached to the ordinary women, right, in the remote villages or in other areas, right? So, and this profession of ulemas. So ulemas are actually, in a way, these exegesis have been translated by men specifically. So, and the second portion wherein I said that Islamic feminism led by Margaret Badran. So she says that this public-private dichotomy, which we were talking about, that public sphere is something which has been taken up by men, and private sphere is something which is closely associated with women. This has been deconstructed by Margaret Bazan. She talks about the entire community, the entire Muslim community. So there are no specified rules. And the third one is intersectionality. This we all know that, of course, Iranian feminism is different from, let's say, Syrian feminism, or for that particular matter, if I talk about Indian feminism. So in Indian feminism also, the struggles for Muslim women are different, right? So like I have mentioned it in one of the papers I've presented last year, wherein we demarcate ashrafs, ajlafs, and arjal, right? So in Muslims also we have these categories, which is based on hierarchy, right? And then we move on to the struggles for upper caste women, the ashrafs, right? And then we move on to the pasmanda women, the discourse of pasmanda women, which has not been taken up seriously as far as I have read. So, and the third, moving on to the third, the politics of knowledge production in Islam. Herein we talk about that the Quranic hermeneutics and reclaiming interpretation authority, wherein I have already spoken about the ulemas, which are all the authentic knowledges, which is an integral part of Islam, comes from the male ulemas, right? And herein I would like to mention Amina Wudud, who led a Friday prayer in Cape Town, New York, in 2005, and it was largely discouraged by by the Muslim fundamentalists, that being a woman, she is somebody who cannot lead a prayer, and the women are the ones who cannot be the ulemas. And I also have taken up the verses, but I am just briefly mentioning them. That verse 434, this is from Surah 4, Surah Nisa, verse number 34. So herein it has been said that men are the kawam. So kawam is like, there are Muslim fundamentalists who have said that it actually talks about that men are the one who rule over women. But over here, when we read as I have said, that the differences are in where we talk about the exegesis of the Quran. So this is actually the financial maintainer, because all the finances related to a woman has to be taken up by men, even if she's earning, right? So we can have it in detail in the Q&A session. And another one I have just taken up two verses. I can discuss about the others as well. So that is from Surah Baqarah 282, wherein it has been talked about that if we need two witnesses, so one male and two female, which means that two female is equal to one male. So I have read Muhammad Fedel on it, who says that the second woman is actually not a witness; she's a corroborator. Because see how it usually happens, that when we are tuned to a particular area. For example, I am the one who teaches feminism, or I am the one who is teaching philosophy. So I'm tuned to the basics of it, the fundamental questions. So women were not in those social organizations wherein they have been taken up.
1 minute,
I
please.
have 1 minute.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So that's how it has been taken up, and there are different authors who have said that it is by the nature, because women tend to forget things easily, right? And then over here I have taken up istihad as well, the critical reasoning, where you need to understand how critically and how they have been presented to us. So I'll be, though I also have written about the transnational Muslim feminist movements that, like how, because Amina, I would like to have 2 more minutes, if you can please allow me. I just want to conclude it. So I have taken up that, like, are the things changing? Because Amina Madood and Asma Barlas were talking about it back in 2002 or 1999. So there are different organizations. If I talk about Masawa, which started in 2009, and it talks about the reform of family law determined by Quranic justice, human rights, and there is one another organization, Sisters in Islam, by which was started by Malaysian women, female-led religious authorities, which I have just spoken about, and the female halakas. So probably, like, there is a hope that, something is going to come up. Like, with these discourses, we can actually try to understand the position of women the way it has been written in the Quran. So in conclusion, I would just like to say that Muslim feminist scholars refresh their religious knowledge by rereading Quran from women's perspective, and reading the patriarchal interpretation of the Quran the way it has been said by the other Muslim feminists. So it has never been taken up that we need to this notion of liberation, to understand the perspective on for women, we need to go outside Quran. That is not the case, because they say that Quran itself talks about an egalitarian religion wherein men and women have been taken up equally, right? And if there is there are verses wherein people say that they talks about the misogynist preferences. There we need to understand how they have been put up in the Quran. So the future of Muslim feminist movements reveal that epistemic difficulties are intricately connected with broad political demands for gender equality and human dignity. Because we cannot just talk about it in theory, right? We need to understand, probably we need to exclude, this patriarchal notion of a Muslim fundamentalist who are traditionally male, because, there are more authorities which have been associated with male ulemas, rather than, wherein we talk about some women for certain things if we have some confusion, right? So as there are people who say that we do not have to entertain this profession so far. And it also depends upon ongoing dialogue throughout numerous fields, disciplines, and organizations. It also requires investing in the leadership of women in religious education, which amplified marginalized voices. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Alisha. That was a wonderful paper. And we know that religion is a tool of patriarchy, and we need to constantly question the dominant narrative. And grassroots activism is all about that, trying to challenge the existing framework of meaning, generate new vocabulary of justice. And as Nancy Fraser talks about the counter publics, that this kind of discursive space is required, where we can constantly talk about, discuss, and give voices to the silenced, give voices to what has not been previously expressed, and how patriarchy has hijacked, as you rightly pointed out, that most of the standard exegesis have been by men. So yeah, now with that, we now move to our next presenter,
Thank you so much,
Anurag.
Thank you so much to understand the paper in such a less time completely. Thank you so much.
Yes, and from different
Because it's a difficult task.
point, you have tried to explain that how it has been. We can have more questions on your paper towards the end.
Yes, I will.
But yes, yeah. So let's move to the next presenter. Anurag, I think I don't have the revised, updated list. So do we have Hasna VP now next in line?
Ma'am, Hasna is, I don't think so. Hasna is here, but
maybe the ones who are present, you can just call them. Sorry, Dr.
Yeah.
Sanobar, a lot of participants requested for
Right.
change and, So
Yeah,
would
so
you like
I
my
think
class
Anurag
changes?
he is the best person to
No,
Anurag,
ma'am,
please.
actually, I would like to call the first participant. He has a class. He just asked me on WhatsApp that he has to take class, so he want to just present first, if that's possible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I think it's Asik Ali.
Hello,
Yeah,
am I audible?
yeah.
Okay. Sorry for missing my chance. My Wi-Fi left me on the right time when you called me, 9 o'clock itself. Okay. That's why I missed the first call. Sorry.
It happens.
I'm
No
Ashik
problem.
Ali, assistant professor in of psychology at Al Shifa College of Art and Science from Kerala, and it's my privilege to present my paper titled "Resilience and Spirituality Among War-Affected Women in Palestine: A Narrative Review." And I have to make a correction in the title. It was given as narrative analysis. Actually, it's a narrative review. My apologies for the mistake. And to introduce my topic, women in Palestine endure chronic trauma, violence, and socio-economic crisis exacerbated by their gender roles as caregivers and community sustainers. This context of war, especially, and the instability necessitates resilience and spirituality as these aspects are central to understanding the coping mechanism and pathways towards psychological well-being. So the gender dimension of the Palestinian conflict underlines women's unique vulnerabilities, including the heightened psychological distress stemming from caregiving burdens and socio-political marginalization. And women's experience reflect the intersection of trauma, agency, and challenge. How the resilience operates both individually and collectively in sustaining families and communities amid the ongoing violence. And when we highlight the resilience among Palestinians, there is also a political problem because more than empathizing, we are sometimes romanticizing the resilience, which is a political issue. And whenever we discuss about Palestine, it is ultimately political inch by inch. And focusing especially on women is crucial as the social roles and lived experience offer essential insights into coping strategies that blend most of the psychological adaptation with cultural and spiritual sources also. So majorly, resilience as a core psychological concept, it can be defined as the dynamic process by which individuals positively adapt to adversity, trauma, and stress. So the theoretical framework of resilience generally encompasses both individual capacities, such as the emotional regulation of the person and cognitive reframing, and the collective dimensions grounded in social support and cultural narratives. So spirituality as a major term here is recognized here as a it is recognized more than a religious observance. It includes existential meaning, hope, connection to transcendent realities, and communal identity. So in the Palestinian context, spirituality manifests through religious faith, especially cultural traditions and collective memory, functioning as a vital psychological soul that nurture hope and facilitate healing. So coming to the Islamic feminist perspectives, it enriches the understanding by framing spirituality as a source of empowerment and resistance rather than spiritual and social resilience. So despite the significance of spirituality and resilience in sustaining Palestinian women through war, the empirical research always remained limited. Most of studies focus on external trauma markers, overlooking the inner psychological framework and spiritual dimensions underpinning women's coping strategies. So the integration of interdisciplinary approaches incorporating sociology, psychology, and gender studies is sparse in this literature, especially those engaging with Islamic feminist critique that generally valorize women's agency and collective identities in conflict zones. So due to the time constraint, I am directly going to the themes that I have been developing throughout my research. So the first theme is spirituality as a source of resilience, and meaning making. So spirituality serves as a primary mechanism for coping and meaning reconstruction amid chronic political violence. Palestinian women rely heavily on faith in God, in prayer, in salah, and Islamic teaching as tool for endurance and self-regulation. So, as per the work of Sabit and Sabit, which was done in 2015. So, belief in divine justice, especially in qadr, in destiny, and reward for patience, which is termed as sabr, transforms the suffering into a moral significance, allowing women to view hardship as part of a divine plan rather than senseless destruction. So, for example, women who have lost their family members in the war often interpret their endurance as both an act of worship and a testimony of faith. This spiritual meaning-making process provides psychological protection against despair and fosters the acceptance without resignation. So the sense of connection with God and reliance on God, which is termed as tawakkul, also it enables an internal locus of control, believing that one's steadfastness is a reflection of divine will rather than their external oppression. And the second major theme is sumud and the collective resilience as a cultural spiritual practice. So the concept of sumud, steadfastness or resilience, is the central term to Palestinian cultural identity. Spiritual construct. So rather than an individualistic coping mechanism, sumud linking personal suffering to the broader national struggle. And through sumud, the resilience can be transcended to the psychological domain and become an act of resistance and moral survival. So, especially coming to the cases of women, women play a pivotal role in sustaining sumo through different duties such as caregiving, maintaining family cohesion, and preserving their cultural displacement. Next one is the gender dimensions of resilience and resistance. So women's roles as caregivers and moral educators and the transmitters of faith position them at the heart of the community survival during the crisis period. So despite so many constraints are there for women, women transform their socially prescribed roles to the avenues of agencies. So the acts of caring for children, sustaining household, or engaging in social activism, these are a kind of imbued with spiritual significance and act of resistance. So according to the study of Ryan in 2015, it describes as everyday resilience. So Palestinian women embody empowerment through ordinary, often invisible act of persistence. That is the difference. Their spirituality often offers more validation for resistance while helping reconcile the emotional toll of war with religious ideals of patience. So the compassion and the sacrifice. And the fourth theme is trauma, coping, and post-traumatic growth. And the post-traumatic growth theory is a major concept here. So the psychological studies among war-affected Palestinian women, it reveals a complex relationship between trauma exposure and coping mechanisms. So according to the study I have mentioned earlier, the Sabit study, it identified that the high level of post-traumatic stress symptoms alongside strong indicators of spiritual and emotional resilience. So the duality of both the stress and traumatic situations, and along with the feeling of the strong levels of resilience, this duality reflects how faith-based coping transforms the trauma into opportunities for post-traumatic growth. So women offer report feeling strengthened in their relationship with God following crisis, perceiving suffering as a spiritual test that leads to purification and renewal. Such interpretation helped mitigate feelings of helplessness and sustain optimism even under a continuous threat. And the next one theme is community, family, and social support system. So coming to the Palestinian society, spirituality and resilience are not only the internal construct, but also deeply a social phenomena also. So extended family networks, religious institutions, women's group serve as pillars of support, enabling women to navigate the psychological aftermath of the war. So social and religious gatherings function as spaces for emotional release and mutual affirmation of faith-based hope. So, and I have developed some other themes also. I am leaving it due to the time constraints. So, coming to the synthesis of the conceptual framework, two concepts are very relevant here. The first one is spiritual mediation, and the other one is resilience outcomes. So the spiritual mediation, which I mean spirituality that mediates the relationship between trauma and resilience. So through religious practices such as prayer, remembrance, fasting, and participation in communal rituals, women especially reconstruct their meaning of life and redefine the suffering from the general perspectives and restore a sense of control and dignity. That's how their perspective differs from the others. And the faith in divine justice transforms their hopelessness into patience, which is termed as sober, and acceptance, which is erila, supporting psychological healing. And the second one is resilient outcome. So especially this includes the endurance, as we mentioned earlier, this concept of sumud, psychological adaptation and a post-traumatic growth. So women do not only survive but sustain family life, cultural identity, and hope despite the persistent structural adversity. So that's all about my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Yeah, that was wonderful, Ashik Ali. So, as you pointed out in your paper, that how these virtues help, virtues of compassion, uh, uh,
Ma'am, I think you have internet issue.
Tolerance, help realities. But Anurag, am I audible?
Ma'am, you are audible, but I think you have some internet issues in between.
Okay.
Now
Yeah,
you are
so I'll
audible.
quickly
Yeah.
make this
Please,
point
ma'am.
that yes, very well presented, Ashik Ali, and as you pointed out in your paper, that how these virtues help women deal with the harsh realities of their time. But then again, this is a question to be asked. If we go, if we go to Nietzsche as per genealogy of morality, we can discuss that how these virtues also are, the virtues valorized in slave morality. So how much is this made up? How much is this a construct? And we can talk about it, and how to associate these virtues with women, especially virtues of weakness, so to say, and how they reflect in their day-to-day interaction in the harsh realities of their time. But then let's quickly move to our next paper,
Athila,
Anurag,
ma'am.
which is that?
Athila.
Yeah, Akila. Oh.
Athila.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Hello, I'm Agla Hussaini. I have completed my master's from Jamia, from English department. So I am presenting my paper on the topic embodying faith in Munambam, gender devotional practices, and the making of sacred space in coastal Kerala. And my abstract says that my study examines the devotional text of Kudrat Mala as a performative spiritual expression within the coastal Muslim community of Munambam in Kerala, drawing on ethnographic fieldwork, oral histories, and observation. It explores how women engaged with sacred space, ritual practice, and collective memory in Munambam's coastal landscape. And these practices reveal the relationship between geography, religion, and gendered identity in shaping spiritual life. My paper asks two key questions. First, how do gendered bodies and spiritual text shape sacred space in coastal Muslim context. Second, how do these devotional practices sustain memory and identity within changing landscapes? By examining the intersections of gender, spirituality, and place, this study shows how sacred landscapes function as archives that connect tradition, community, and contemporary Muslim life in Kerala. First of all, the Munambam I am talking about right now is at Puthuponani, because this term Munambam is a place calling Munambam is particularly common in almost all of the seashores in Kerala. Not every seashores, but I'll say that. Munambam Puthuponani refers to the coastal stretch at Puthuponani, a seaside area at Ponnani Taluk, Malappuram district, Kerala, where this small promontory or Munambam, where river mouth or coastal projection meets the Arabian Sea. And Puthuponani lies close to the main town of Ponnani. Ponnani, as we all know, it's a historically significant port on Kerala's Malabar coast. The area is geographically marked by a river mouth formation where Bharatapuzha or Nila river is opening up to the Arabian Sea. And the word Munambam locally denotes such a strain or promontory landscapes, which explains why the region is locally called Puthuponani Munambam. And there is this Munambam Dargah. The site is also known as Munambat Bivi Dargah, small but revered shrine dedicated to a saint associated with early Islamic legacy of Ponnani. It attracts pilgrims from across Malappuram and nearby districts, particularly during local Urus festivals. And there is a text called Kudratmala written by Mattathu Muhammad. Kudratmala is a composition by Mattathu Muhammad, and this is Mala, as Mala is a garland, or we can say that it is an epic poem about a revered figure. This Mala song, as in many other Mala patus, the subject enters on the history of local saints, which are known as Divya or Divyagal in Malayalam. And this one is a devotional song about a deceased saint from Munambam. She's also known as Adini Bibi, because her corpse just came to the shore. We don't know much details about that person, but after that, some of the incidents are happening in that area. Like most Malapatta, it concludes with one or two closing stanzas, and it is known as Iravu. Kudratmala is a Sufi-inspired choral poem. It's a 4-stanza choral devotional song born out of Kerala's Sufi poetical traditions. The poem sings of the motherhood or chant of a woman saint buried at the Munambattu Dargah, Puthuponani. And the cultural context is that it represents how Sufi mysticism inspired local Mala Madhajanas in Malayalam, reflects Kerala's vernacular Islamic aesthetics, blending Persian Arabic poetics with the regional forms. And the structure is that it begins with the praise of God, continues with honor to early prophets, and culminates to in the devotion of Prophet Muhammad. And the theme centers to the miracles or siddhis of the saint and her spiritual authority, portrays divine grace, intercession, and feminine sanctity in the Sufi belief. And the literary significance is that it integrates classical Sufi mythologies with Malayalam oral and musical forms, serves as both a communal prayer and a literary articulation of mystical experience, illustrate the female spiritual voice within Kerala's Sufi heritage. And Kudratmala is traditionally recited by women in their homes and during spiritual gatherings as a devotional practice to create a sacred shrinescape. This recital is not just a song, but a ritual act that helps construct a spiritual atmosphere, connecting participants to the mystical presence of the revered female saint buried at the Munambattu Dargah. Through collective chanting, the women evoke divine blessings, reinforcing a communal sacred space that transcends physical boundaries and fosters a shared spiritual identity rooted in Sufi traditions. Practice exemplifies how devotional recitations become performative acts of spirituality, community bonding in Kerala's Muslim culture context. You can see liminality in this Kudratmala practices. Kudratmala recitation reveals intersections of geography, religion, and gendered identity in Kerala's spiritual life. Rituals performed in domestic and gathering spaces create a liminal sacred realm and blurs boundaries between public, private, sacred, secular, male, female, and spiritual spaces. This provides agency and identity. enables Muslim women to assert spiritual agency and communal belonging, creates a gendered and sacred space rooted in local geography and Sufi religious traditions. Spiritual life is dynamically shaped by social, spatial, and religious factors. Liminality fosters fluidity in roles and identity, challenging fixed norms. Gendered bodies are sites of religious and social negotiation. Women's bodies are central to the making and reshaping of sacred spaces through their participation in rituals, pilgrimage, and community activities at dargahs. Bodies are understood both as vessels of divine mercy and as locally marked by social norms such as dress codes and spatial restrictions. Yet women actively negotiate these boundaries, asserting agency through conforming or subtle resistance. The spiritual text acts as codifiers of gendered spirituality. Texts such as Sufi poetry, Kudratmala, and local devotional narratives encode divine virtues, miracles, and healing powers associated with saints, especially the female saint here, that inform women's spiritual engagement. And these texts serve as a tool for personal and communal empowerment, encouraging women to seek divine intercession, performing healing rituals, and interpret sacred narratives in a way that affirms gendered identities and authorities. And I have self-translated the Arabic Malayalam text, and it says how she came to this place and how she became a revered figure there. Through her sacred deeds, miracles shone forth. Through her spiritual power, her place was revealed. In the year 1403 Hijrah, in the month of Dhul Hijjah, on the eighth day, Bibi passed away. The waves beat upon the shore, yet it was known that she was a Barakatullah Bibi. For 21 days, Bibi's body lay intact, night and day untouched. Though it rested under the blazing heat of Munambam and in chilling cold alike. The thing is that the body lay there for 21 days, but the corpse was not showing any sign of decay. And usually this thing happen. The seashores usually bring dead bodies to the waves, bring the dead bodies to the shore, and these people who just merely go by for their earning, they don't want to get in trouble, and what they try to do is they take a log and try to push it away. They try to push it away a lot of times, but the body kept coming back to the exact location for 21 days, and at that time they just decided to bury that body at that place. Let's go back to spatial practices and gender negotiation. Women's participation often involves strategic navigation of spatial restrictions, such as entering tomb rooms or participating in rituals based on religious reasoning, social norms, and personal agency. And another fact is that there are only very less locations where women, especially in Kerala, that women are supposed to get into the shrine or get near to the tomb, and this Munambam is a place like that. Practices vary. Some women accept segregation as religiously justified, while others subtly challenge or reinterpret restrictions, exemplifying agency in action. And religious texts and material culture in space formation. Sacred items like oils, dates, ritual objects are distributed and carried from the shrine, symbolizing divine grace and embodied connection to spiritual texts. These acts extend the sacred space into domestic and social realms, reinforcing ongoing spiritual agency beyond physical boundaries. And sacred sites like Sufi dargahs along Kerala's coast become geographically and spiritually significant markers where historical memories are anchored. And these spaces serve as tangible reminders of the community's religious past, embedding spiritual identities within the physical landscape. Pilgrimage and devotional gatherings facilitate the formation of social support networks where women share personal struggles and affirm faith, strengthening community bonds. These participatory networks bolster collective identity and spiritual resilience against broader social transformations. And devotional practices within Kerala's coastal Muslim communities are not simply religious acts, but dynamic processes that sustain collective memory, negotiating identity, shape sacred space amid social change, and the concept of liminality by Turner is pivotal in understanding how these practices create transitional sacred spaces that blur the public, private, and gender boundaries, allowing women to exercise agency within patriarchal religious structures. When we use Kelsey Seberg's framework of agency, types in gender traditional religions, that is compliance, empowerment, instrumental, and resistance. The study reveals how women navigate and reshape sacred geographies through strategic participation and subtle negotiations. These acts of agency underscore the fluidity of religious roles and challenge binary notions of submission versus resistance. Furthermore, drawing more from Doreen Massey's relational theory of space, sacred sites such as Sufi dargahs are understood as socially produced spaces. It's not part of actual Islam, and it's culturally and socially produced space where spirituality, gender, and geography intersect to create continuously evolving landscapes of meaning and belonging. Together, these theoretical insights demonstrate that religious devotion among coastal Muslim women in Kerala is a form of embodied social practice deeply embedded in spatial, cultural, and spiritual context, contributing to resilience and identity formation in the face of ongoing socio-cultural transformations. Thank you.
Thank you, Athila. Ma'am?
Thank you, Athila. Yeah, thank you, Athila. That was a wonderful paper, Munambam, Gender Devotional Practices and the Making of Sacred Space. I think this is a way, mysticism here is a way to counter patriarchal rationality. So this cannot be dismissed. And I think this kind of a mystical, esoteric experience of women coming together is not a kind of escapism, but then it's a sort of an attempt to reclaim subjectivity. So this cannot be dismissed and dismissed. And be said that it doesn't exist, or this is not rational, so to say, because this is a mode of epistemology in some way. So with this, we move on to the next. Anurag, who's the next one in line?
It's us. We Rapporteurs are last presenter.
Okay.
Humaira?
Yes. Just one more thing to ask. So the Q&A is going to be towards the end.
Yes,
ma'am. When all the presenters.
Yes, ma'am.
So there are two more presenters.
No,
right?
we are last because one presenter is not available today. She has sore throat and
cough. Because I was asking, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, that's why I put the text in chat box also. Okay, Humaira?
Yes, thank you, Anurag. Good morning, everyone. My name is Humaira Nabi. I am a research scholar. Oh, can we have PPT, please?
Yeah.
Okay, we can start now. Thank you, Anurag. Good morning, everyone. My name is Humaira Nabi. I am a research scholar at Sarojini Naidu Center for Women's Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia. I am delighted to be here along with my co-authors, Anurag Singh and Yusra Siddiqui, to present our paper, Muslim Women, Empowerment Through Self-Help Groups in Anantnag District, Kashmir. This paper investigates the role of self-help groups in empowering Muslim women in Anantnag, focusing on three interconnected dimensions: social, financial, and capacity building. Using a mixed method approach, we collected data from 33 self-help group members. The study reveals significant gains in income, confidence, and community participation. Importantly, it frames these outcomes through the lens of Islamic feminism, which advocates for equality within an Islamic worldview. Self-help groups here are not just financial tools, they are spaces for agency and identity in a region marked by socio-cultural constraints. Women's empowerment is fundamentally about enabling decision making, resource control, and full participation in economic and social life. In a rural India, self help groups have always proven instrumental, forming small collectives of 10 to 12 women who save, assess microcredit, and engage in income generating activities. These women build solidarity, leadership, particularly for marginalized women. What makes this study unique is its integration of Islamic feminism in the Kashmir's context, with its Muslim majority and ongoing socio-political challenges, which puts it in a unique position. Self-help groups enable Muslim women to negotiate agency and autonomy. I would like to give a brief literature overview. Like traditional empowerment research emphasized economic metrics like income and credit assets. Feminist scholars, however, broadened this to include autonomy, self esteem, and social change. Studies on self help groups across India, such as by National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, highlight their roles in enhancing family decision making and collective identity. Yet in Kashmir, research has been done on economic outputs while ignoring cultural terms. There are only few research that explore how Muslim women experience empowerment through a faith-aligned lens, a gap this study addresses by blending qualitative gains with qualitative narratives. Now, I would like to invite Anurag to discuss the second part of our paper. Over to you, Anurag.
Okay, so sorry. I will start with research gaps. As our literature review, we find that this leads to the research gap. That first, the feminist gap. Much literature quantifies income, but overlooks empowerment as lived agency and identity formation. Second is regional gap. Empirical data on SSGs in South Kashmir, especially among Muslim women, is limited. Amid the valley's unique challenges like conflict and conservatism. And third is that an intersectional gap, the interplay of gender, religion, and marginality, such as how Islamic values intersect with empowerment, remains unexplored. To bridge these, we adopted a context-sensitive feminist approach, drawing on scholars like Nalia Kabir for empowerment theory and Margaret Badran Ren for Islamic feminism. So the theoretical framework is built upon Kabir's model, where empowerment as resources, agency, and achievements. Resources include SSG provided credit, training, and networks. Agency involved goal setting and independent action. Achievements and manifest as income growth and social recognition. We complement this with the concept of social capital, how SSGs foster trust and cooperation, and Islamic feminism, which views women's economic participation as religious duty towards community welfare, ummah. The holistic frame ensures that analysis respects the cultural realities while highlighting the transformative potential. The study's objectives are fourfold. The first, to explore the SSG's promotion of economic and social empowerment among Muslim women in Anantnag. And second, to assess the capacity building through skill enhancement. And third, the identity barrier to fuller empowerment. And propose the policy measures to strengthen SSG models in Kashmir. The methodology, we employed a mixed method design for robustness, and quantitative data offered measurable indicators, while qualitative insights captured nuances experiences. The study area was Anantnag district under programs like Jammu and Kashmir, rural livelihood missions, Umeed. We purposefully sampled 33 Muslim women from 4 SSGs in uh, in rural and semi-urban setting using snowballing for deeper access. Uh, sorry. Uh, uh, Data collection involved structural questionnaires on income decision making, in-depth interviews, case studies, and data analysis on SSG's records. For analysis, sorry. Yes. For analysis, descriptive statistics handled qualitative data and frequencies and percentage, while thematic analysis identified qualitative patterns like themes on confidence building and cultural negotiation. Now, in our data, we found that socio-demographic profiles showed most participants aged between 25 to 35, with nearly half holding graduate or postgraduate degrees, debunking the myth that SSGs appeal only to the uneducated. This suggests the SSGs as avenues for educated women seeking entrepreneurial outlets. On financial empowerments, 90% reported improved family finances. Women invested loans in ventures like fish farming, dairy, tailoring, and traditional tilia embroidery, reducing male dependency and boosting household income by average to 20 to 30% based on self-reports. Okay, so Yusra, can you take from here?
Yes, Anurag, yes. So, as Anurag and Humaira told about our studies, our abstract and introductions, and how we collect the data. Now I'm starting from, as we have short time, so I'm going to start from the challenges that we are facing through that these SHGs faced in Anantnag. So as we collect the data from the SHGs, and we find that they are lacking in various spheres, and they are faces very challenges like market access limitations, institutional financial hesitancy, cultural mobility restrictions, and digital literacy gaps. So, self-help groups members often struggle to find reliable high-value markets as the products they create, like tailoring, tilla, and pashmina, they face difficulty moving beyond local small-scale scales to reach broader, more profitable consumer bases. Like they are facing financial hesitancy, no notable bank loans for them, making them difficult for SHGs and individual members to secure the larger capital needed to scale their business and invest in modern equipment or resources. And women of SHG still face cultural constraint that restrict their movement and ability to travel freely. And this is the main problem they are facing. These limits their capacity to attend training sessions, as we have many sessions we are witnessing in Delhi and other areas, but their capacity to attend training sessions, manage supply chains, or personally market their goods in urban centers. And the main problems or main challenges they are facing is digital literacy gaps, as we are in the modern era. A lack of digital skills create a significant barrier, preventing women from accessing information on best practices, streamlining financial records, or utilizing online platform to sell their products and expand their market reach. So after these challenges, we find that there are many policy recommendations that must be there to help the SHGs, like in Jammu Kashmir areas, especially a small district like Anantnag, like enhanced capacity marketing training tailored to Kashmir economy, because Kashmir is famous for handicraft and we have witnessing many SNGs. So this must be a first policy recommendations to explore market training to them. Then streamline institutional support for easier access to loans, as finance is the main step to create any business. So this is the second policy recommendations we do. Third, integrate market via exhibitions and online platforms. Then engage communities through Islamic awareness campaigns on women economic rights, like we are doing conference. So if we do a conference like for promoting any SHGs, then this is also a policy recommendations for them. And then finally implement monitoring for holistic empower assessment, as they are lacking very in that. Now after that, what limitations and conclusions we are facing the limitations to study that part of Jammu and Kashmir, especially SHGs. Our study is district specific, like we study only in Anantnag. We have limits generalizability. We have potentials for social desirability bias and cultural hesitancy in responses. So after that, our paper presentations, the conclusion of our study is that self-help groups in Anantnag are transformative for Muslim women, blending financial independence with social and capacity gains. They reclaim agency and dignity, proving empowerment can thrive in culturally rooted ways, and then scaling these models could amplify women's contributions to peace and development in Kashmir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yusra.
Yeah, thank you. That was a wonderful paper, Humaira, Anurag, Yusra. Yeah, and these self-help groups faced so many challenges, and this is exactly what was expected, because these obstacles show the deep-rooted cultural, social, epistemic tensions in the society. And but the point is to continue with this resistance, this struggle, because this offers a kind of a collective agency, and this cannot be given up. So Anurag, are we done with the presentations?
Yes, ma'am. We are done with presentation. We are waiting for question and answers. If there is no questions, please give your valuable remarks on paper, whatever you like. If any researcher or presenters have any question, please ask. Any doubt? Ma'am, please you continue.
Okay, I guess there are no questions, and I think this was a very interesting session, where you presented your views on grassroots activism, and this reminds me of Emmanuel Levinas's on which he talks in his totality and infinity, when he talks about the other, and how we should see the alterity and not the sameness. So the women activists who come together in these self-help groups, it's not that they resonate with the other woman and they think that their story could be my story, but it is that singular story, that difference in the other's story, that implicates the woman activists in this suffering, and that is how she responds to the other, and that is why it works, because it is not my story. Her story is like my story, which is mostly seen when there is a top-down approach, where there is an attempt for sameness, for categorization, and that doesn't work. This kind of a bottom-up approach, where what is emphasized is the difference, the singularity, the alterity, that works here. And yes, I think with this note we can end this session. And thank you all. I thank all the presenters here, and Anurag for
Thank you, ma'am.
moderating this session so beautifully. Thank you.
Humaira,
Thank
please.
you. Yes, Anurag.
We will
Thank
go
you,
to
ma'am.
Humaira for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Anurag. Coming to the end of this session, I would like to thank the chair of this session, Dr. Sanobar Hussaini, for your valuable time. I would also like to thank to all the participants for presenting their wonderful papers and meaningful contribution. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you all.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. We can take a break till next session.
Yeah, we can take a break, but you can also announce that we all also request all the presenters and the guests who have joined to please join us for our plenary sessions that are one of it is scheduled at 12:30, right? So yes, so we'll see you at the plenary.
So the link is going to be same, right?
The link is going to be the same. So it is the same link which will be for the entire session till the valedictory. So it's my humble
All right.
request to all the participants of yesterday who were in the technical sessions and even today, and for the upcoming also, to please be present in all the sessions as much as possible, and if not the technical session, at least in the plenaries and the valedictories that we have organized especially for this conference. So yeah, thank you so much, and thank you to the chair, also to the participants who have taken their time out for this. Thank you so much. We'll see you at 12:30 for our first plenary of the day.